Welcome to another episode of Pipe Surgery. We're about to actually go into the Jewish festival of Passover, Pesach, and the theme of this festival is all about freedom. And this week's question actually is in sync with that theme. So we have a question this week, Simon, from Anna. She's the CEO of a fast-growing company in the construction space. Their brand is actually new in the market, but they have a really experienced sales team that are leading the charge to grow the revenue. How much freedom would you give to the salespeople, both in terms of process and also pricing? Simon, give it a stab.
In some ways, you're asking the wrong person, because I am the ultimate freewheeler. As we've worked together, you'll see that. I did the opposite of what was the standard, and I just play my own way. But in terms of having coached a lot of teams over the past few years, it's a very good question in terms of freedom. I think, first of all, it's important to have some sort of playbook that the company work off, and that would be in terms of answering questions, product knowledge, etc. That's important. But to over-script a process, a demo, etc., I really don't recommend that at all. You can almost do it in your own voice and say, am I the sort of person that would say it in this language? And if you're not, then make it your own. And I think the importance of freewheeling and not being too bound by scripts and rigid processes is, I've seen it so often that salespeople suddenly hit on a line in a demo that becomes almost the line that unbreaks the whole closed process. And therefore, it's a really good idea to let people experiment freewheel and then feedback to the team things that are working, which you wouldn't get if everyone was just saying the same thing time after time.
I think that's really interesting. The rigid structure definitely doesn't work. We're both disciples of the non-rigid structure. I think also it's mindset and skill set, and each salesperson is different. And so to force them into a straitjacket of how they should behave will be counterproductive. And I think in the pricing arena, that also really plays out. Now, you shouldn't ultimately give everybody completely open pricing to negotiate as they wish. Obviously, that could be detrimental to the business. But I've found that when you empower salespeople to be able to negotiate within a ceiling and a floor, that you've given them clear parameters by which to operate and negotiate pricing. And then anything outside of that, obviously on the lower level, they need to come and actually get authorization. Obviously, if they blast through the ceiling, then we're all drinking champagne. But I think if you give them enough rope to go and win the game or hang themselves, then that usually works best. You need to empower people actually in the sales process to be quick. You don't want often a long delay. I've got to go back to this person, that person, look at the pricing, come back. You might have already lost the momentum. The ability to negotiate there and then is really powerful. So I would always say, go with that. So, Anna, I hope that was helpful. I think Simon's got one last tip for you.
So just to add to your point on momentum, which I agree with, not only do you lose momentum in the process, but also you become less of an equal. And you don't want to be a stature. People want to be thinking that they're buying from someone of an equal stature in their company. You're speaking to a decision maker, and if I need to speak to my supervisor, manager, any terminology around that, then that breaks the sort of level of being on an equal footing, which is very important in the sales process.
I think that's so true, although I agree with you almost entirely. I just think of one example. I'll do a very quick story. My father was a double glazing salesman in the 70s and 80s, and he would often be at night in the house with the customers, with the husband and wife, trying to close these double glazing deals. And they would be pushing on price, and he would often use I need to speak to my director of sales or my director of marketing. Can I use your phone? Remember, no mobile phones in those days. He would go and use the phone, and he would stage a fake phone call to my mum. And so he'd say, yes, it's Stephen here. I'm with the customer at the moment. They're pushing on price. What can you do for us? And my mum's like, what? What are you talking about? When are you going to be home for dinner? And in the meantime, he's staging a fake phone call. Interesting. If they do that, you can give them the extra 15%. Okay, no problem. He puts down the phone. He says, look, if you're willing to put a marketing board of our services outside your house for 3 months saying that we did the work, we can agree to the price. So sometimes it's good to have that extra person, but I hope that was helpful, Anna. And we'll see you again for another episode of Pipe Surgery really soon. Thank you.